8 sleeps and counting to Australia's greatest sporting festival, the Melbourne Cup. On these famous lawns over 4 spectacular days, the world will flock and watch for the fashion, the party, the birdcage, the celebrities, the entertainment, and of course the equine superstars. In total, 8 Group 1 races, the sport's highest level, racing for more than $34 million in prize money. And the spring has already been turned on its head with a new sprinting superstar.
Giga Kick down the outside wins the Everest!
Giga Kick and Nature Strip are set for a rematch on the final day of the Cup Carnival. Plus, Chris Waller and Durston chasing a Cup stubble.
Durston, his Cup's got gold, Trim has got up!
Springtime in Melbourne, there's nothing better. This is the road to the Melbourne Cup Carnival.
It is great to have your company once again. We are now just a week away from the Melbourne Cup Carnival, and what a spring it has been so far. I've got a couple of Melbourne Cup legends with me. Michel Payne, of course, Cup-winning jockey, and Glen Boss, 3-time Cup-winning jockey. It's getting exciting now, guys, isn't it?
Oh, we can't wait, Michael. What a week and a half ahead we have. It's just so exciting this time of year, and it's what we all live for.
And Bossy, it's already begun. Last week was simply stunning. Caulfield Cup win by Durston, and we'll talk about the Everest in a moment, but that man, Chris Waller again. Durston, an emergency, getting a run and winning the Caulfield Cup. Is Durston now a genuine Melbourne Cup contender?
I personally don't think he can win the Melbourne Cup, but Damien Oliver does. He's going to get down to 53.5, which is uncharted territory for Damien. He deserves his place in the race. He's a Caulfield Cup winner. This Caulfield Cup probably didn't rate as high as others, but this Melbourne Cup probably won't rate as high as others either. So well done to Chris Waller, and I wish Damien Oliver all the best going forward for the Melbourne Cup.
It's a Herculean task for Ollie to get down. He's about $13, so you can see why he wants to make that weight on Durston. And then Michelle in Sydney last week, the Everest. What a fairy tale it was. Giga Kick, undefeated 5 from 5. That's it there, the chestnut in the white and red colours, trained by a 27-year-old Clayton Douglas, who a year ago was a jumps jockey.
And look how far of a start he's giving them here, Michael. He's still like 5 lengths off the best sprinter in the world in Nature Strip, and just love the way that he knuckles down in the last 200 metres and just attacks the line. These are the stories that give you goosebumps. You know, Clayton Douglas, he's 27 years old, just been training over a year and won a $15 million Everest.
It is incredible, isn't it? And Bossy, you know what the best thing is? We're going to get to see them do it all over again, because on the final day of the Cup Carnival, the champions sprint worth $3 million. Nature Strip v Giga Kick again.
It's mouthwatering, isn't it? You know, this will draw a big crowd just to watch this one race. Nature Strip, amazing down the straight, and the young kid on the block, he's had one start down the straight, was super impressive. So this is just going to be something. I can't wait for this rendition of another battle between the two of them.
What a way to finish the carnival. That is on Champions Day. 3 $3 million races on Tab Champions Day, the 5th of November. It all begins next Saturday, though, with the Penfolds Victoria Derby Day. And then it's the big one on Tuesday, the Lexus Melbourne Cup. And on Thursday, Kennedy Oaks Day. What a stunning week of racing. We can't wait to bring it to you all here on Network 10. And speaking of the Cup, this is the favourite. Deauville Legend doing some light work at Werribee. He looks good, Michelle.
He looks great, Michael. You just see that beautiful loping action of his, real staying action. And I think Kieran McAvoy was lucky enough to go out and have a ride of him this morning, said he's moving really well. Very excited to see Kieran on the favourite for the Melbourne Cup, my brother-in-law, and looking forward to it.
There's nothing Kieran can't do when it comes to a Melbourne Cup, and it could be a fairy tale for the trainer, James Ferguson. He's just a young man himself. He's in Australia. This is what he had to say when he saw Deauville Legend.
He won over a mile and a quarter at the beginning of the year, and I reckon if I brought him back to a mile and a quarter now, he'd still run very well. So he's got that level of speed, which I think you need around Flemington, even though it's a staying track. You don't necessarily have to be able to stay 2 miles in England to be able to stay the Melbourne Cup trip, because they go very quick and can often bring him back and then turn it into a bit of a sprint at the end. And you know, I think if he's in as good a form as we had him in at York, I'd say he'll run very close.
Yeah, he's the horse to beat, according to the punters. And we'll get a form guide tomorrow in the Cox Plate. El Bodegon, who he beat home, is in the Cox Plate. When we speak of the Cox Plate, there's only one name we need to mention, and that is Bossy, because, Bossy, this is your time to shine. 4 Cox Plate victories. What does it take to win a Cox Plate?
Oh, it takes almost a champion. When you look at the list of the Cox Plate winners, there's champions and there's emerging champions that win this race only, you know. And I've been very fortunate. I got to ride 2 champions in my lifetime, and one was Maccabi and one was So You Think. And yeah, what a great thrill.
Yeah, we may have another emerging champion tomorrow, because all the talk in the lead-up has been about Anamoe. Is Anamoe, you're wearing the blue, Michelle, is Anamoe the one to beat?
I think so. Anamoe's just the full package. When you see a racehorse, he jumps, he puts himself in position, he relaxes. He got a little bit lost coming around Melbourne Way here last time in the Might and Power Stakes, but as true champions do, he just knuckled down and attacked the line, and he does that every start. He gives you goosebumps watching him race, and he's everything you want to see in a racehorse.
It was incredible he was able to win that race, Bossy, wasn't it? And he's beaten Thunderstruck and Zaki in that race. Jamie Carr said after that, I need to draw the rails in the Cox Plate, and she got a wish. Barrier won.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still keep coming back to Anamoe. He just, from the barrier, he's just going to be in the sweet spot the whole way. James McDonald has seen him like watermelons at the moment. You know, you can find ways. Oh, Zaki, yeah, I mean, they wanted the fence, but when you look back at his form, he's had every possible chance to win his last couple, and he hasn't done it. This horse keeps delivering.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, Michelle, because Barrier 1, by the time the Cox Plates run, with a bit of rain about, may not be the best place to be.
No, after 17 races, it'll be the 17th race over 2 days. It might be pretty chopped up down by the rail, but in saying that, he loves wet ground. You can see him there just travelling around Moonee Valley beautifully. And he's a top-class horse in himself, so he's definitely going to be right there, but whether he's good enough to beat Anamoe, that's just going to be another thing.
Just like you rewrote the record books in the Melbourne Cup, Jamie Carr, if she can win the Cox Plate, will become the first female to do so.
Really rap we drew. Barrier 1, that was the gate we wanted, and it doesn't always work out like that, so hopefully the luck's on our side Saturday and we can get to the fence. He has a tendency to lay in a lot, so it'd be really handy if we could find the fence.
Gee, what a race it is going to be, the Cox Plate. We'll have more on the Cox Plate a little later with David Gately, and don't go anywhere too, because James McDonald, the man on Anamoe, will be joining us as well. With all the wonderful fashion on full display, how do you describe the Melbourne Cup Carnival in a single word? Glorious. The Melbourne Cup Carnival returns October 29 to November 5. Tickets from Ticketmaster.
Signal from behind, and they're racing in the Lexus Melbourne Cup. At the 400 metres, a length and a half, loading artist. Here's Verry Elleegant.
It was just meant to be. It was incredible.
Verry Elleegant at the 150.
There was a second there where, well, like I had all the time in the world to salute, and I was waiting for the post.
And it's Verry Elleegant, 10 Group 1s, and now the greatest of them all, the Melbourne Cup.
And then it was just like something just hit me. I couldn't believe what had happened. Yeah, it was a unbelievable feeling.
I don't know. I just can't believe what's just happened.
You don't grasp how big a race it is until you've probably competed in it, and if you're lucky enough to win it, it was amazing. Growing up, we watched it religiously. Obviously, parents are in racing, so we always tuned into it. We'd all gravitate around the TV, the lights would go off. Even back then, you think, wow, it'd be awesome to ride in that race.
Number 14, Media Puzzle, Damien Oliver.
Damien Oliver and Media Puzzle, it was, that was an unbelievable race. I do remember my family and all the staff at the stables did a Calcutta, and for some reason I remember Media Puzzle, and we sat around the TV and watched it.
And Media Puzzle, Damien and Dermot have done it. Media Puzzle beats Mr. Fangirl, Great House, Home Affairs, Minhaj, Offertier, Espiona, Jukon, Saki, and it's all Nature Strip who explodes away.
Everything was happening really quick the whole week. If I could ever go back and rewind and just play it in slow motion, I'd love to do it, but it was just like a fairy tale come true.
Zaki holding on, Zaki won the McKinnon.
James James McDonald, the fairy tale continues. 4 Group 1s, 10 wins, and the record over Brett Preble for the most in any Melbourne Cup.
Brett Preble, he was a great supporter and a great idol of mine, and I love watching him ride. He's always been there for great advice over the years, and I've met him as a very young lad, and for him to be crossing the line with me, and that day was quite cool because he was really happy for me.
To come down to this fantastic carnival, got some brilliant rides, and arguably to take home the Holy Grail Melbourne Cups has been the icing on the cake.
One of the great weeks of racing, and yeah, if you can get a winner or two, it's even better. But yeah, last year was obviously one out of the box, and it would be, if we get one half as good as that, it's a good week.
Oh, the super freak, James McDonald. He is just an inspiration, the way he is riding. And Michelle, how good was the picture of Very Elleegant with him last year? And he said it just hit him. Was that something similar that happened to you when you won on Prince of Penzance?
It was, and just listening to him, the only word I could think of to describe it was unbelievable, and yeah. James was the same. You know, it's just, it's such an unbelievable feeling to win our greatest race, and he's just such a pin-up boy, I think, for our younger generation to watch him. You can hear him, he's so level-headed, he's so dedicated to his job, and he's just, that's why he's the best that he is.
Well, he's at the top of his game, and the partner for James McDonald, Very Elleegant, in last year's Melbourne Cup. Well, she has come to the end of her amazing career with the news that she has officially been retired. We know it didn't go to plan over in Europe, but she will be remembered as one of the all-time greats. 11 Group 1s, a Caulfield Cup and a Melbourne Cup, Michelle.
What a remarkable mare. Like you see here, she won the Oaks as a 3-year-old, winning the Group 1 then, and then raced on and wins the Melbourne Cup 3 years later. Just absolutely remarkable. You don't really often see mares do that, especially when they're overstaying distances. It's gruelling, and she was just an outstanding champion.
Yeah, and what's the future now, Bossy, for Very Elleegant?
Yeah, I was speaking to Bray. He was over in Europe just recently and went and seen Frankel.
Oh.
And that's just what I believe is going to happen. She'll be mated with Frankel sooner than later, and then she'll be put on a plane and sent back to Australia to hopefully have a Frankel foal. This will be,
wow.
This will be one of the best bred young horses to ever hit our shores.
Talk about a hot date.
Yes.
Frankel and Very Elleegant.
Yes.
Can't wait for that in a couple of years. I tell you what I can't wait for is Robbie Dolan at Moonee Valley on Saturday. Here's a sneak peek of what we'll see.
Begging you to stay. It's gonna be okay. Stay with me. I'm begging you to stay. It's gonna be okay.
Geez, not a bad voice, is it? Stay with me. His newly released single. Now, we're going to go straight into the straight six, and you can kick us off that thing. He could have been riding Profondo in the Cox Plate. He's singing at Moonee Valley. What do you think, jockeys? Riding or singing?
Look, I think if you put your mind to it, you could do both, but imagine the buzz of being out there tomorrow on Cox Plate Day singing horses with the crowd behind you. I don't think you could get much better than that.
Can you sing, Bossy?
No, not at all. I'll leave that to Robbie.
All right, question number 2 for you. Everest Caulfield Cup. It was a big day last Saturday. Was it too good or too much?
No, it's a fantastic concept having them both on the same day. Betting's up, crowd's up, the vibe is up, and racing is so exciting right now.
Michelle, you're staying in this musical theme. You want Flemington to get its groove on. What's that about?
I think it's great. We've got the younger generation there, pump up the atmosphere, really get the vibe happening. After each race, you can let it settle down, but then going into the next race, why not, you know, get everybody behind it and up and singing.
Who do you want to hear from? What song do you want to sing?
There's so many great songs you could choose from, but
you're the voice trying to understand it. Johnny Farnham.
You did answer that other question as well. You can't sing. You're the voice for Bossy. Don't forget, Baker Boy, Birds of Tokyo, and many other bands. So we will get to see them all at Flemington up in the park as well. Next question to you, Bossy. Does Gold Trip know how to win? 14 starts, just the one win.
Don't knock Gold Trip. Blinkers on, he's an older stallion now, and he didn't realise he got beat in the Caulfield Cup last weekend. I love this horse.
Yeah, it was gallant, wasn't he? 57.5 kilos. Michelle, topic 5. Zaki, barrier 1. Is it going to be perfect or is it going to be too late in the day?
Well, look, he's a champion, and champions can overcome, difficulties. He's a horse that gets over, bad ground. He's won on it before, and he may well overcome that.
All right, and the last one for you, Bossy, number 6. I'm not sure why we made you answer this one, but Josh Parr, he's off, Dewis. Hugh Bowman is on. Is it harsh or fair?
It's very harsh. It's big bucks, big business and big stakes. And he can feel very unlucky because Dewis is getting to her grand final and he's ridden her the whole way and he won't be there for it. He can feel pretty hard done by.
Was Bossy the one that used to try and get you off all your rides?
Oh, yeah, don't worry. He was there trying to get on
all the
Prince,
good rides.
I'm sure.
Did he try to get on Prince of Penzance?
Probably did.
Oh, dearie me. It's all good in love and war. Hey, speaking of internationals, the biggest name international is almost out here, and I speak of Francesca Cumani. Cheska, it's been a while.
It sure has, Michael. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be part of the show, and I cannot wait to be back there, part of the whole Spring Carnival this year. I can't believe it's been 3 years. If someone had said that to us like 10 years ago, you would have gone, no way would that ever happen. But the pandemic has been very strange for all of us. I am readying myself. Actually, the weather's readying me because it is pouring down with rain as we speak, which I think there's been quite a lot of that around in Melbourne. So I am already looking for the wet track form. And I'm readying myself, organising children, animals, everything for the time I'm away. And I can't wait to get on that flight.
Cheska, looks like the internationals are ready to raid.
Yeah, so compared to previous years where we've been used to seeing nearly half the field made up of internationals, this year there's many fewer of them, but really high-class individuals. The horse that people are really cottoning on to is Deauville Legend, and I think that's mainly because he's got such a similar profile to a horse like Cross Counter, who won the Melbourne Cup in 2018. He's very much run in all the similar races, including winning the Great Voltager last time out. He's got a good pedigree, which should suggest he will stay the 2 miles, even though he hasn't run over it before. The query a little bit is going to be the ground, because I have understood that you've got a lot of rain coming. So he's unknown on that kind of ground, but his full sister has won over in France on heavy ground, over a mile 6. So hopefully that won't be too much of a problem. We'll be keeping an eye on him in the pre-race antics because he can get himself a little bit hot and bothered. He wears a red hood that comes off at the start, and he can give the stall handlers a bit to think about. But he's the one that people are latching onto. My slight thing that I would think about with him, however, is that when Cross Counter won, he carried 51 kilos. Deauville Legend's going to be carrying 55 kilos. Now, obviously, the weights have all been raised 1 kilo, so take 1 off. Since Cross Counter won, the handicapper decided to not be so lenient on the 3-year-old, so they've all been raised 1 kilo. But even so, take 2 away, he's got 53 compared to the 51 of Cross Counter. And as we know, weight stops train. So that's my only small query with Deauville Legend.
If it's a true staying test, are you more confident that without a fight or Deauville Legend will see out the distance?
Well, you say that, though. It can be a real true staying test. Equally, it can be a real sit and sprint, can't it? As they say, they tend to go quick down the first straight, go around the back, and everyone drops anchor, and sometimes they're like literally hacking down the back straight. I think without a fight, and actually Hu Yamal could be a bit suspect in a true 2-mile staying test of the type that we would get in this country. But generally, the Melbourne Cup, it tends to be more for horses that are good over about 1.5 miles here, who have got a bit of tactical speed as well to see out the race in the closing stages. Without a Fight, it's an interesting horse. I actually went to interview Simon and Ed Crisford not long ago and have a look at the horse on the gallops. And when I was looking at his price, then I couldn't believe that he was about a 33 to 1 shot, because he's got a similar UK rating to Deauville Legend. He's a year older. He's got a bit more experience under his belt. He's got some really good form lines. He's well bred. This has very much been the target for a long time. Now he has come in terms of the betting. So people have obviously cottoned onto that. And he has got soft ground form last year. So quite a few ticks in his box.
Cheska, that's the information. We can't wait to hear from you during Cup Week. Looking forward to seeing you on 10's coverage next week.
Thanks, guys. Really looking forward to seeing you all over in Melbourne. And this is going to be a great carnival.
Oh, there is no doubt about that, Cheska. Guys, we will see you next week. And next week it'll be 1 sleep until the Melbourne Cup Carnival. But before you go, who wins the Cox Plate?
Look, I think Alligator Blood's going to give Animo something to chase, and Animo's just going to beat him by...
Wow, after he passed the fitness test, Alligator Blood. Bossy, who are you riding?
I'm with Animo, don't ignore the obvious, but I think Mwanga, Nashua will give them something to worry about.
Bit of value from Michel and Bossy. I wonder who David Gately likes. He's up next. Melbourne, it's the undisputed major events capital, the city's cultural and sporting calendar teeming with world-class events all year round. Get set to discover Melbourne and check out all that's on offer after the Melbourne Cup Carnival. We've got the undisputed best tipster in the world now, David Gately, who joins us. Gator, how are you?
Well, it's almost upon us, Michael.
It is 1 week to go, but before that we have the crescendo of the Cox Plate. I'm really excited about the Cox Plate tomorrow. You've been an Animo fan for a long time. Are you still sticking with the big boy after his phenomenal win here in the Might and Power?
Well, the win was narrow, Michael, but the win was quite dominant because he lost ground around the turn. He lost a couple of lengths, still picked them up anyway. So I'm just struggling to see how those horses turned the tables on him, given he was 3 weeks between runs. You know, he's only third up. This is his grand final. We know he gets around the valley. He was beating a lip in the race last year. The left fielder's Elleegant. Of course, the Northern Hemisphere 3 won this great race last year.
Absolutely, and he's got the Deauville Legend form line as well in the Melbourne Cup. Where do we put Zaaki? He's drawn barrier 1. The connections say that's what he needed to be able to turn the tables. Do you think he can?
I think he can. He's my second pick, so I think it's a realistic winning hope. If they can use Gate 1 and the rail still holding up, remember last year, this race, they were off the fence, weren't they? So that's important to note. If the rail's still holding up well, he's a danger. He'll take some catching.
He's a firm favourite, Animo, but he has been a little easy.
Yep.
What price do you think we'll get?
Oh, look, I think punters will come for him, but there's also an avenue of the Elleegant, that Northern Hemisphere unknown, and they've had such a great success in the race. I can see why he's popular.
Is there a roughie that can run a race?
Oh, look, I don't think so. I don't think it's that sort of race this year. I think Laws of Indices can run well without winning.
If Elleegant does win tomorrow, Deauville Legend's price is going to firm in at the Melbourne Cup. He's currently the $6 favourite. He looks good at Werribee. His trainer's arrived. He's happy with him. Is he the horse to beat at this stage, do you think, Gator?
Well, I think so, because he fits the recent profile, doesn't he? And he just seems to be improving every time we see him, which is such a key point. Lightly raced, on the up, athletic horse, and it looks like an internationals race, given the Caulfield Cup rated down this year.
I was going to say last week, Durston, what did you make of his win in the Cup?
Look, it was a solid win, but a blanket finish. I think the 13th horse was beaten 3 lengths, so that cast some aspersions on the form, I think.
Yeah. Gator, you enjoy Cox Plate week outside of the feature. Have you got a winner for us?
Well, I thought Animo had made it my best, but I think in the last, My Whisper can run well at a nice price.
OK, My Whisper in the last race of the Carnival. Good on you, Gator. We look forward to you next week. We look forward to your company next week on the countdown to the Melbourne Cup Carnival. Just 1 week to go. We can't wait.